because the Zimbabwe Communist Party is not a mass movement. We are building it. We do have comrades, some of our members, that belong to some opposition parties that you cited. But the Zimbabwe Communist Party officially is not in alliance with any political party. But there are members that members of ZAPU, because we accept joint membership, members of the NDWG, members of the Triple C. But the party itself, we are not in an alliance with anyone. The reason being, for us to enter into an alliance with a political party, we need to understand its class character. Why engaged in class struggle? Of course, the Communist Manifesto says that if workers' parties exist, as communists we cannot establish separate parties. In this stage, there is no working class parties. It doesn't exist. What we are doing as the Zimbabwe Communist Party is to work together with the trade union movements, build them to be progressive. Because unions themselves, there are unions that are progressive, there are unions that are not progressive. And equally, trade unions also being the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Our membership is drawn from the trade unions. Second question, we are asked whether we're a political party. Our name there says Zimbabwe Communist Party. That's what we are. We are a communist party in Zimbabwe. We are in alliance of the communist and the workers' parties, international communist and workers' parties. You have communist parties in different countries, and we are a communist party in Zimbabwe. We are not a pressure group. We exist to contest for state power. How we contest for state power is another question, but that's why we exist as a political party. We are not a pressure group. What are we going to do if 2030 would go ahead? We might not have the power to stop the postponement of the elections. We note that there's a resolution which was passed at the ZANU-PF annual conference in October. We note also, as we spoke about in the statement, the attempts to amend the constitution. Our role is to raise class consciousness, is to raise awareness that the workers, the working class, the peasant must reject the 23rd agenda. How is this 23rd agenda being rejected? We do not want to come here and promise things that we will not do. But ours is to raise these issues as we continue to raise them, that the people of Zimbabwe, the working class and the peasant have a right to elect their own councillors after every 5 years, as per what the Constitution says. Thank you.
Thank you, General Secretary. Are there any more questions from the journalists? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Marshall Bonnie, I'm a freelance journalist. My first question would be, I noticed the only males in this press conference is the Zimbabwe Communist Party, gender sensitive, only males. And my second question would be, what is your grassroots approach to conscientize the citizens about your revolutionary movement and ideology? How are you going about it? Knowing that the Zimbabwe political climate is a bit treacherous when it comes to state power.
Okay, the second question I will ask our chairman of the Org Bureau to respond to. Org Bureau is the organizing department in other political parties. So he leads the organizing department of the party. But before he answers, let me deal with your first question. We are a communist party that support the emancipation of women. Women must be elected in party positions, in government, in the corporate way. The nature of our politics in Zimbabwe, as ushered in by Zambia, makes it difficult for women to freely participate because women are being intimidated, are being brutalized. We have one of our members who's a woman. Woman will not identify as somewhere inside here. But the problem is she was arrested, she's on bail, and the reason why she cannot sit in front, this might be deemed as violating her bail conditions. But we take the criticism as the Zimbabwe Communist Party that we have less women. We want to recruit more women. Maybe the challenge that we are having, which our second conference is going to look into, is whether does a communist party establish a women's league? Because in terms of class, we are not different from women. Yes, we are different in terms of our bodies and so forth, but in terms of the struggle that we are engaged in, the class struggle, we are not different. So we've noted the less participation of women, and it's a discussion that is happening inside the party, that we must consider establishing a women's league in the party so that it becomes easier for us as a party to recruit women in the party. Thank you. Your question about grassroots support, how we organize.
Thank you, committees. Thank you, members of the media. Well, I was going to add a little bit on the gender sensitivity. As communists, we are the most gender sensitive people. He has already alluded to why we don't have a woman in front. Part of it is because some of them were caught up in some other things. They didn't attend the meeting today. We have programs on the ground to recruit, especially young intellectuals, young people, the most people who are affected by the current situation in our country. Some of us, as you look at me and the old man next to me, they all almost gone. But we have got this challenge of saying, are we going to leave everything as it is? Are our young people, do they know what is happening? Do they understand where we're coming from and where we're supposed to go as a nation, as a continent, as a people, as society? So we have got a number of things that we're doing, but normally I'm not very good at divulging everything to the media of how we recruit, how we operate. I think in his statement he raised everything, and most of the work you can contact me when we out of the press conference.
Thank you.
Any more questions from journalists? See a hand there. Any other hand? Yes, a hand there. You speak after him. Any other? All right.
My name is Ryan Charlie from 263. I just wanted to find out the significance of Mr. Traore and Mr. Putin. What does it signify?
All right.
All right.
Going forward, what is your party going to do to address challenges that the populace of Zimbabwe is facing, especially when there are some policies that are probably anti-people, like the recent one that we saw, banning of teens? What is your party going to do henceforth? Are we going to see your presence in addressing issues that are the opposition seem to be ignoring now? We don't see the opposition engaging in these issues. What is your...
The first question, our Secretary of International Relations will respond, Comrade Ian Bidos, about the significance of this. Let me deal with the second question. We sat in the Central Committee today. Of course, we know we led it some way, but I will not go into that. But we resolved that first and foremost, we must develop party cadres. We must develop people or comrades that have the art of interpreting our theory to the people. I'm from Zimbabwe district. I can't go there to my village and tell them that Karl Marx said this, Lenin said this. They will not understand.
Yeah.
So I must have the art of speaking to the issues that affect them on daily basis. And together, collectively, we find a solution. This is why we said we want to have the party of ideas. Contesting ZANU-PF in the bank of ideas. One have already said that ZANU-PF is not revolutionary. A revolutionary party will not do the things that we are saying, anti-people. They talk of people-centered policies. It is one thing to express yourself in terms of policy, and another to act. And all the actions by ZANU-PF, be it Murambadzwina, be it what happened in 2008 after the March elections, be it Kukuraundi, which we spoke about in our statement, be it the bombing of the house of Comrade Job Sikala. All this shows you a party that is not Pan-African in character. But the biggest mistake was because during the chaotic land reform program, particularly after 2000, ZANU-PF was seen by the progressive wing as progressive. The MDC or the entire opposition as seen as stooges of the imperialist forces. And therefore, progressive world said, while we understand the mistakes and misgivings about ZANU-PF, they said they are better off being in solidarity with the ZANU-PF, which was seen as anti-imperialist. There was no communist party then. And we are saying, as the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we must expose ZANU-PF for what it is. And we must, at all material times, be with the people in their daily struggles. But we must develop cadres that will be able to articulate our position and be the spokespersons of it. Comrade Bidos, what is the significance of this photo the comrades are asking?
It's very interesting that this is the first question on anything international, because Zimbabweans tend to believe that everything that is wrong in Zimbabwe is totally internal. It's got nothing to do with the outside world. And I would say that is historically very wrong. If you can find online, I would tell you to look for an essay called by Andrew Young, the US diplomat, which talks about the victory of Robert Mugabe. In that essay, he says, the victory of Robert Mugabe is a victory for Western diplomacy. because it stopped the Soviet advance through Africa, represented by Joshua Nkomo. ZANU, in the beginning, and Mugabe were supported by imperialists. There's absolutely no question. And if you're doubting what I'm saying, just simply go to Wikipedia, look up David Sterling. Take a note of this. Look up David Sterling. Who was David Sterling? Look up Capricorn Africa Society. Look up Leopold Takawira, and you'll very easily connect the dots, because from the beginning, the West interfered with the liberation movements. Now, we've got this very false idea that our liberation struggle in Zimbabwe and also in South Africa was against the imperialists. Although we believed at the time it was, but that wasn't in fact the case. The liberation of Africa, at least from direct control, started in Algeria under the French and Kenya under the British, which both liberation movements were replied to brutally by both the French and the British, who understood that we can't carry on in this way. So they introduced neo-colonialism. And that is what's been there ever since in Africa. That, yeah, you could have your black president and your national flag, we control the economy. That has been, that's neo-colonialism, is well defined by Kwame Nkrumah in his book Neo-Colonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism. You can find that online as well. Educate yourselves. Now, what happens when you come down to Southern Africa? Well, in the 1960s, the Portuguese, Mozambique, Angola, were not interested in giving a black man anything at all. Not even, how can I say, a token governments. So we ended up with major wars in Angola and Mozambique. And now the West could see that this white settler rule was not going to last in South Africa and in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia as it was. They could see it wasn't going to last. They couldn't just back the liberation. If they backed the settlers, they were going to lose, and they were going to lose to who? The communists and to revolutionary nationalists. So they had to subvert the liberation movements so that they could work as the same as every other African country. The liberation struggle in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, was not against imperialists. The liberation struggle was against the local white settlers, who the real imperialists are not the Rhodesians or the Boers in South Africa. The real imperialists are the guys who live in Moscow, no, not Moscow, sorry, in Washington. In Washington, Moscow was always on our side. The real imperialists are those who are in Washington and London and Paris. Those are real imperialists, not our local white settlers, as racist and as nasty as they were. So they had to make sure that the southern part of Africa became neo-colonial as the same as the rest of Africa. And in fact, they succeeded in doing that, by and large, because they subverted the liberation movements. In fact, the funny thing here in Zimbabwe was that the Rhodesians, under sanctions, built up a semi-independent economy. They built up an economy which wasn't controlled by the imperialists, at least not directly anyway. Control of our economy by the imperialists came after 1991, and that's when we got these IMF, World Bank loans, which were still paid back. So it was only in 1998, through the Congo War, that then we came under sanctions. And by the way, check your history as well. Sanctions started in 1999. sanctions started in 1999, not after war veterans had gone on the farms. So I want you to understand these things as journalists. Look, understand your history properly. So now, what's happening here? Western imperialism led by the United States is going down the toilet. The US dollar will collapse at some time. The progressive part is BRICS. By NATO attacking Russia, they thought they were going to win. They created this war, but now they're losing. And Russia, in the Sahel would have collapsed, but the French sent so many arms to Ukraine, and even their special forces would be wiped out by the Russians, and they were not able to go to the Sahel and send their troops as they'd done elsewhere. And this young man, Ibrahim Traore, when he came in Moscow with Putin. Putin gave them grain because they were starving. But he said to Putin, we don't want to keep, thank you for the grain, but we don't want to keep taking grain from you. We must develop our own agriculture. So, as it was in the 60s and 70s with the Soviet Union, now Russia is supporting Africa. And not just taking, but it's helping them build their economies. BRICS is helping them build the economies. So the world as a whole is in the process of change. And we must see where we're going to be within that process. And it's no use us, like the black elite here, folding our arms and saying, okay, we don't want the West anymore, China can come and do it, we still take our 10%. No. Within that, we have to say we have our program, which is what the Sahel countries have done. This is what Traore has done. We have our program. Russia is assisting them. It's not telling them what to do. And this is where, by the way, last point, China has done marvels in its own country under the revolutionary government. But we're not happy the way the Chinese are behaving here. We're not happy with these Chinese companies. So I want to make it very clear that although we support the BRICS as a whole, we do not support any country or any capitalist abusing our workers in Zimbabwe. We will never appreciate anybody doing that. So we will always support our own workers against anyone. So, very last point, the anti-imperialist struggle and the class struggle are very much related. They're against capitalism, but they're not identical. Thank you.
Thank you. Traore is opposing French imperialism. As I said, he is not a communist. Putin is resisting NATO expansion. He is not a communist. Just want to add that. Do not say the Zimbabwe Communist Party says they are communists. They are not communists. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the clarification. I think that area has been overcooked. Are there any more questions? I see one hand there. This is my last round of questions. Anyone with a question? The second hand. Any other question? 2 to go.
Zimbabwean politics has always been dominated by strong personalities, populist narratives, and political demigods, both in the ruling party and mainstream opposition. Now, as a newly formed political party, how does the Zimbabwe Communist Party want to maneuver to break this vicious cycle and connect with the electorate and the broader system?
Okay, thank you. My question is just around your structure as a political party. Who's the leader? The SG the leader, or the leader who is not here?
All right. You may respond to the questions.
You see, politics is about popularity. In the African context or global. Because when you confine yourself in electoral politics, you need to be known. You need to win the hearts of the people. How do you achieve this? We have developed a program of the party to achieve this. We are not looking for some, what you call these American musicians, what you call it, star performer, a celebrity, who are revolutionaries, who are not celebrities. We have said in our statement that we are an organ of the working class through political education, through working in communities, through the organizations of the people. We hope that the people will understand what the Zimbabwe Communist Party is. We all agree here that one Emerson Mnangagwa is not popular even in Zambia. You give him a platform to speak, he's not an orator. He is the president. But he's been struggling to hit the 50% mark. There are more that in ZANU-PF that possible are more orators than him, but he's the president. We had Morgan Tsvangirai, loved by the people. I was in the MDC myself, joined in 1999. I was there when it was launched at the Faro Stadium. I'm based in Johannesburg. I was the leader of the MDC in South Africa. I worked with Morgan Tsvangirai. He was popular, but he did not attain political power. So we need therefore to say, how do you attain political power? I started by saying, when you go to an electoral politics, it's about popularity. But you need to combine this with a clear ideology. The progressive world shunned Morgan Tsvangirai because they thought he was an agent of imperialist forces, notwithstanding his popularity. And we are saying to you that those that called him an agent of imperialist forces were themselves established by imperialist forces in 1963, when they split from ZAPU. And the reason from splitting from ZAPU was to curtail the influence of the Soviet Union in this part of the world. And it is the conservatives that handed political power to Mugabe and the ZANU-PF in 1920. Who is the leader? The Communist Party, or you want to answer this one?
The Communist Party is led by the General Secretary. The Zimbabwe Communist Party has got no any other people other than its members and this leadership you see here. We're not going to want any other people unless those people come from our cadres. Our work we must do our work in such a way that eventually most people of Zimbabwe are politically clear, ideologically clear, understand what needs to be done. We're not that organization or that group that has got all the answers. The answers are within you, among the people in the streets there, among the people in the rural areas. Those are the people who have got the answers. And to us, it's like the General Secretary said, it's not about how known you are. That kind of politics is the politics of people who want to lie to people in order to be able to loot the resources of the state. Tina, from our end, we are saying, as small as we may look, but the knowledge that we have, the knowledge that we want to impart to our society is what will make everything work for the people.
Can I add just one simple phrase to that? I just want to say this. A truly revolutionary party does not do anything for the people. It organizes the people to do things for themselves, to develop themselves. They don't stand on top, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, if it is million. No, you organize the people to do things for yourselves. That's what a revolutionary party is.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade N. I've taken the last questions, and is that a what one?